so there's not much needed to do. It's the Red Wing High School land lease agreement. And what do we want to do? Do you want to take it from here, Carson, or?
Yeah, I'll just briefly introduce it. Before I start, though, I want to introduce Brian Keenan. He's a representative of IPS, and so he may be here to explain some perspectives, as far as the agreement is concerned. So, as you know, we've had a couple of different versions floated your way. We had some activity over the weekend, and then again today. So I put up the latest copy of the proposed agreement. There have been a couple of changes since the last agreement. First of all, we changed the indemnification section. We added some verbiage that was similar to what we had in the tower lease, and kind of instead of just identifying or protecting the school district from claims with HBC and the tower, we broadened it. So I think it's better. And IPS actually suggested the change, and our attorney agreed with it because it does broaden that scope. The second part is a suggestion that Arlen had made in terms of making sure that both sides are agreeable to any lease extension. And so some language was included there. Brian from IPS, does have some concerns about changing that from a unilateral extension to a mutually agreeable extension. Right now the verbiage does have the mutual agreement, but Brian, perhaps you could explain some of your concerns as far as making it mutual.
Sure. Our standard agreement has the potential for 2 5-year extensions, at the discretion of us as the garden owners. The idea there is that, the project is multi-millions of dollars of investment for us, and making it work financially, is extending the terms out as far as we can is the best case scenario. We've had a lot of projects that are in somewhat difficult terrain and things like that. Like, this project represents a pretty difficult site, so it's going to be a bit more expensive to build. And some of that additional cost, we would hope to be absorbed over spreading it out over a longer term. The revised agreement, looking for mutual agreement on that, it basically is kind of toothless, and it relies on the board in 25 years and the garden owner in 25 years to come up with the agreement. That's having it in there or not doesn't really change that fact. So, for the longevity and the financial viability of the project, we would prefer to have it, and it certainly increases the ability for this project to get built, because there are, constraints on the finances and things, and eventually, that would stop us from fully developing the lease, if we encounter things in the site that we hadn't addressed, or just the difficulties of the site itself. So.
And of course, I think Arlen suggested it largely because, we don't know what our needs are for the site, 25 years from now. And so our concerns would be increasing it to 35 years if we need it for field space or for a street to a new building or something like that. So, but yeah, Jim and Arlen, Holly's not able to be here today, but wanted to throw that out there to see what your thoughts are as far as making it mutually agreeable or not.
Okay. I'm just going to go on here. My reasoning for bringing that up is my understanding, I thought, was that way. That just falls on me. I'm trying to duplicate what we have with IPS on the other lease on that 25 years. And I thought we had 2 verbal 5-year extensions on it. But when I tried to access information that I had, which was not the actual approved version, it looked to me like that was just a 25-year lease on that one. So I'm just not real sure. Then I went back to the proposal that your company put out, And I may be in error in what I'm trying to do here because I do see some language there that does reflect on the 35-year lease in your proposal. So I'm just a little confused, but my main concern is I want our district to be as flexible as we can on our behalf, and I'm sure you want to have your options open as far as you can on your side too. And from my knowledge of solar gardens in the past, they were pretty much built with warranties and different things to cash flow over 25 years, but maybe I'm in error in my knowledge on this. So I'll stop there.
The only question I kind of have, I like everything in it. It's fine. You talk about the red line and redactions. You remove things and put different things in there. But my only thing is probably minimal here. But the draft, or the date, that's not the draft. The date of the documents is November 24th, 2020. So
Well, thank you for pointing that out, Jim.
some things have actually taken place since the 24th of November with this document.
Right. Yeah, and certainly if we approve the document, then we would need to change that to December 14th. Also, I just noticed that the phone number for our office is incorrect. It has a 507 area code. Obviously, that should be 651. I think that's on one of the last pages. So I apologize I didn't catch that earlier.
And just then a confidential land lease and solar easement is made on November. That date's got to be just probably put in there correctly then. If I'm reading that correctly. So.
Which section is that, Jim?
Right after the table of contents. Am I looking at that? This lease and solar is made on November 24th, effective date, parentheses highlighted. So whatever date you need to probably put in there. So.
Yep.
So, but no, I like the art, the document, and looking forward to the project going forward and bring it to the school board at 5:45 today.
So Brian, is that putting the wording in for optional after 25 a deal breaker, or what is the situation there?
I don't think it's an absolute deal breaker, but it's obviously like you had indicated, the cash flow is normally set for 25 years, and this is, helps those numbers and helps, with a site that is a little more difficult to build on. So, if we could include it, that would be best case scenario for us. But if it's not in there, I think we would still move forward with it as,
Is it fair to say, Brian, that it lessens the chance the project would be done? Just because of the due diligence that you'll put into the project work?
Yeah, I mean, just all the finances are based on the revenue stream coming from it. And if that's 25 years, it's less than if we've got a 35-year revenue stream to compare it against when we're doing our performance. So,
okay.
And just to be honest, this probably wouldn't have been our first pick as far as the site. When we did the initial 5 megawatt site there, I think they purposely pushed it, further away from this area just due to the terrain and things like that. So, most of our sites are, farm fields that are nice and flat and, void of any, any trees or anything we need to get around, especially the terrain issues here are really something to overcome.
Ryan, do you have any other projects in the Goodhue County or Wabasha County area here in Minnesota?
Yeah, I mean, we've got obviously the 5 megawatt next to it. There's one Foreman Hill over on the other side of town. I've got a lot of them up in Zumbrota as well.
Put that
we've got them all over, a lot of them down in Mazeppa. So.
Do you have the one by the livestock building just on the north side of town there? Is that yours? I see that's fairly new.
Yeah, that was done a couple of years back.
Yep.
Yep. We've got the one by the livestock building in Zumbrota, and then some others west of town that along 60 that they're far enough off you can't see them.
Right.
Jim, the other one you may know of is they have the one on Paul Betcher's farm just outside of Goodhue.
I was just gonna ask
Right.
that on 909, yeah.
Yeah. They
That's
actually
enough.
toured our site we were building ours when they were considering the Betcher site, or the Betchers that toured our facility just to see what was going on there,
Sure.
what I remember.
And the Betchers are now in construction of a second site with us as well.
So are we, so just if I get my head wrapped around this, are we at 25, 35? What are we at here? I mean, we're kind of talking a couple different avenues here. So 35, Brian, you'd say would be a better deal for your revenue source through the expense of the project. Am I understanding that correctly?
Right.
And then that 2% goes every year. So it goes out another 10 years if the project is still viable and going on there.
Yeah, and the lease terms continue, just as they are, so they do increase 2% annually throughout that extension as well.
Okay. And just, there's so many wording in it. Obviously, everything is around here. We used to have wind towers. That was a big issue before the solar came on. Reclamation, just can you talk a little bit about that real quick as to reclamation on a project like this? And is it something, a project like this, something you build and sell off, or do you keep maintaining it as owners?
We do have the ability to sell it off. When we do develop the gardens, there's a third-party owner that's taking the tax credits. And then there is, down the road, there may be a different ownership group, and that is, able to be transferred. That's pretty standard. As far as reclamation, we've got the systems that we put in are made to be removed fairly easily. So the posts that hold the solar panels cracking is just pounded down hydraulically. There's no cement bases around them, so they just get lifted out. All of the racking is steel that gets recycled. The panels are predominantly glass and aluminum, and so we're getting better and better at recycling those. And by the time this garden comes around to end of life, we'll be really good at that. And then there's a fence around the perimeter of it. That's a standard chain link or egg looking fence, depending on the exact design as approved. But that all gets removed, and there's one concrete pad that holds the transformer and the connection cabinet, and that is just a surface concrete pad, and it gets removed as part of the part of decommissioning as well. So
okay, and then we just talked about reclamation, but just so I'm clear on this, who's responsible for reclamation? The owner of the project at the time it ceases? The
owner of the project at the time, and there is stipulations within the contract, about terms around that and timing. And with our conditional use permit with the city, there will be, either a bond or a letter of credit in place to make sure that happens,
That's my next question.
That is in this lease agreement too.
Yeah, and I've looked at it, but there's pages of pages. So what is the bond on that?
It would be dependent on the requirements that we work out, with the condition that the city would put on it with their conditional use permit.
Okay.
A lot of times, the city of Red Wing has got some pretty good experience with systems like this, and they would kind of lean on the county as well, come up with an exact number. Normally, it's the net cost of what it would cost to remove the project, less any salvage value of the equipment.
Okay. Thank you.
Karsten, what's your gut telling you on the term life or on the options and stuff?
It comes down to whether or not there might be a chance that we would need the property in 25 to 35 years. I mean, it's impossible to say. But my gut is probably the mutual agreeable provisions. in the latest version, but again, I'm okay either way.
Okay, Kevin?
I was just gonna add to the location, if you've driven out there, there's a ravine behind that, which is not our land on the other side. There's a big ravine to the right of it, which you couldn't encroach on anyway. So I can't imagine we would put a road on it or where the road would even go through there. So I'm not real, if it was out in the middle of where we could build a school, I'd be more nervous about it, but where its location is, I can't for the life of me figure out what we would put there.
Right.
Yeah, the only exception could be possibly some fields, but you have the tower right there currently that, we might extend that lease as well.
Jim, what's your feelings on the term? You good with 35 or you think we should try to hold it?
I'm good up to the 35 years. I don't think any of us, no offense, Lisa and Jackie, I think maybe Brian, the rest of us may not be around at 25, 35 years. We'll just be looking down thinking we should have asked this question back that time, so.
Well, I'll be over the century mark, so.
I was just gonna say, I'll be past 100, so.
And I won't want to be around by then.
Yeah. Nothing wrong. I want y'all to be around forever, but I'm just saying, in real life, I'm fine with the 35 years, up to 35. The number's going to keep growing for those future, because I think we have so much land up there now that we're never ever going to.
We have enough land to build when we were working easily 2 schools and some fields, even with the 5 megawatt garden there. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 5 megawatt garden we identified as a possible school site. And I believe that one, I don't see the actual lease, but I think what I saw proposed at the end was 5 years or 25 years without extensions. And I was sure it was 35, 25, 5. But
I was just looking, and the big one is 25 years.
so, but I want to be fair in everything we got. And the proposal that was put out with Brian's company to us said 35 years in one place, and I can live with the 35. So after seeing that and being fair, because I don't want to be trying to change terms from what was originally proposed. It's a little bit vague, but when you start having 2 options, but I can live with 35. So I'll go whatever way.
I think the 35, if that's better for them too. I mean, actually, it would be better for us because then we're guaranteed income on that land for the next 35 years.
And I believe we have the option of selling the property too. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, the lease would still stay in place, obviously, but you could sell the property.
In theory, if this is approved and the cash flow is right, I think we could sell that property just on the cash flow of that property for $300,000. It depends on how you plug in a 35-year lease or 25-year lease, and then what interest rate you want to throw it in there. But it puts the value up there to a sizable amount of money, which is really nothing with the terrain the way it is now. So.
Now, just to be clear, and I'm good with that, but the language would kind of revert back to where it was earlier, where it's a 25-year lease agreement, but then IPS or whoever has the lease can extend it by 5 years 2 times. So it wouldn't necessarily be guaranteed income, but it could be up to 35 years, and at least the terms are set at that time. Starting with the 25th year.
Okay.
Sound good?
What are we recommending to the board here in 10 minutes?
Well, it sounds like we'll recommend the agreement that's presented, except with the date changes, the phone number change, and that we won't need the mutually agreeable terms to the lease extension.
They're going to have option years, but we're not. Is that right?
Well, that's what it sounds like you and Jim are thinking, which is fine with me. I don't want to put words in your mouth, though. So
I don't know. I want to be fair in what was proposed and that we aren't trying to change what's there. I feel bad that I put it out because I interpreted things a certain way in my mind, and I might be wrong on it. And,
yeah, I mean, having giving IPS the chance to add, 2 5-year lease extensions makes the project more feasible. It's going to be more likely to happen if we do that. And so I'm certainly good with it, especially if there's limited chance that we'd need to use that area in the next 35 years. Jim, is that what you're kind of thinking when you threw out the 35 years, that it'd be 25 plus the 2 5-year terms?
That's fine. That's fine, yeah.
Okay.
I think we were all under the impression, Brian, too, that the 35 years was gonna be something that's gonna be out there for them to.
Yeah.
I got one question yet. Why was it put out there with 2 option years from 25 to 30 and then 35? Why did IPS want those 2 options rather than just a straight 35?
That's a question for you, Brian.
Yeah, and I don't know specifically other than just as as the project ages, there's a point where, it's reached end of life and what have you, and the upgrades or maintenance on it gets to be too much. So, perhaps that was just a way to break that period up.
Okay, well, my understanding was generally considered life expectancy on a solar panel is 25 plus years. But you're losing a certain percentage each year. Is that right?
Yeah. Even at 25 years old, they're doing 80% of what they were year one, are out of the box. So they're still good quality equipment at that point in time. They're still producing. It's just like, the engine in your car slows down at 100,000 miles or gets a little less powerful, but it's still good,
I'm supportive of the 25 plus 2 5s on renewable at their option, if that's what the rest of you want.
That's fine to me.
Yeah, that sounds good. And then if I could, Arlen, are you the chair or is Jim the chair of the committee?
I'm the chair of this committee.
Okay, after the board meeting tonight, assuming the board approves it, I'll have our attorney draft, the final version, kind of reverting that section back to the, giving IPS the authority to do those 2 5-year extensions. And then what I'd like to do is just run it by you, Arlen, as the chair, just to make sure we're on the same page before I sign it. Or before Pam signs
That's
it.
good. I mean, I think you can just revert back to the original language on that part.
Yeah.
What you had last week.
And actually, now that I think about it, I'll run it by the whole operations committee. I mean, why not? Just to make sure that we're on the same page.
Good recovery.
Well, I hate to get any potential open meeting law if you have more than one person. 2 out of 3 is, but
We have, have your board. You got to worry about the open meeting laws with your board. So we have 7. I'm fine with that.
Sounds good. Well, Brian, I really appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
And
will you be joining us for the next meeting too?
Yeah, I'll be there. And Carson, do you think I'd be speaking at all on that or just listening in or?
they'll probably follow the lead of Arlen and Jim on this one, but
Okay.
if you could be at least present in case there's a question that somebody poses.
Sure, no problem.
That's
All right.
what I see. There were probably not much there because we only got 15 minutes to get that one in and out the way it's scheduled. So I think they're just looking for direction from our committee to the board to get this moving for you.
That'll make up for last week's 4-hour meeting, so.
And you'll never get back, Brian.
Okay, we got everything covered here for this meeting.
Yeah, thanks for hashing it out and for your patience and looking at multiple versions. Appreciate
All right,
it very much.
We're adjourned.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
See the other link.
No response from Mike. I thought I saw him here.
Yeah, he's here.
Did you say me?
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm.
All right, Mike. Jim?
Yeah, you're breaking up. Or I'm breaking up. I'm
Okay.
here.
Jim, are you present?
Bad connection.
Now let's go around. Janie, are you present?
I am here. Present.
In the thoughtful repose.
Heidi?
Present.
Holly? I'm sure she's not.
Right.
Pam? No. We'll try again for Jim. Are you present?
Is his sound working?
Oh, he just joined the
Oh, he
meeting,
just-
so he'll be there shortly.
Jim, are you present? He's here twice on my screen, but
Yeah.
You know, I will tell you that Google has had problems all day. I don't know if this is related to that, but we were worried about having Google Meets this afternoon, and then we thought it was working well. So it could be
probably
related to
called-
this.
all right. Well, Arlen is present. We're going to continue on with the meeting. Jim is here. If he joins in, he joins in. We do have a quorum here. And I don't think I missed asking anybody, did I, Heidi?
No, you did not.
All right. I think we'll forego the Pledge of Allegiance and just get into this meeting so we can get this done before 6. The
Yeah.
meeting agenda is Red Wing High School land lease agreement is the only thing on the agenda. I believe they sent out an updated proposed lease agreement this afternoon, and I'm going to turn it over to Carson.
Great. We also have Brian Keenan from IPS available in case there are some questions. But the district, for the last month, the district and IPS have been negotiating a land lease and solar easement for the 10 plus acres on the high school site that will be developed into a solar garden. And, you know, we've had some language issues that were just brought up late Friday and again today. And so the operations committee did review the proposed agreement. There's some date changes. There are a couple of places in the contract, including the title page and then the land lease and solar easement date. Currently, the contract says November 24th, when it should say December 14th, which is today's approval date. Also, my phone number under section 10.1 has an area code of 507, and obviously the area code should be 651. And then finally, I think the operations committee made a good recommendation as far as reverting back to the original language that was in section 2.1C. The original agreement called for, you know, giving the IPS the ability to, well, first have a 25-year lease, but then unilaterally have 2 5-year extensions to that lease. The district originally counter offered that so that it would be mutually agreeable to go from 25 to 35 years. But the operations committee, with some input from Brian as well as Kevin Johnson, concluded that we'd revert back to the original language in 2.1C, which would give IPS the ability to have 25 years plus 5 years plus 5 years. The thinking is that the property is in between 2 ravines, and so we just don't see a likelihood that property would be used for a building or for a street or even for athletic fields, just because of its location and proximity to the tower that we have on the property. So again, that's a recommendation, is to change those 2 dates. change the phone number, and to revert back to the original language in section 2.1C. That original language is shown in the red line version. It's the part that's crossed off. So again, that's a recommendation of the committee.
All right. I want to make this thing move here. Anybody got any quick questions before we ask for a motion? And then we can discuss it more if we have to after the motion. If not, I'm going to ask.
I'll make a motion to approve the,
Mike? We can't hear you.
yeah, the motion to approve the lease as amended.
I'll second it.
Still can't hear me? Oh, okay.
No, we heard you, Mike. It's been moved by Mike, seconded by
All right.
Arlen to approve the motion as presented. Pam just joined and said here, I hope she's all right if I just finish this meeting out. What do you want to do, Pam? Pam, or do you hear us?
I do hear you. Yeah, go, please feel free to finish. Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to keep things moving here and get this done before. Do you want to take over the chair, Script, or can we just continue with me?
No, go ahead.
All right. All right, add to the minutes that Pam joined at this time. There is a motion on the board to approve the lease as amended by Carson. There was a later version put out today, basically, that said optional 5-year extensions would be for the district and the IPS, but now it's going back to what was originally put out last week, which would be IPS and then some other various amendments. Any discussion or questions? If not, I'll call the vote. So I'll give you a chance here quick. I know it's hurrying things up here.
So upon legal review, everybody's satisfied that these changes all pass muster. The one larger change was the term agreements, and then the others are minor changes.
Yeah, our legal counsel's
Right.
been
The
part of
terms look
every
good to
step. And every suggested change from both sides went through our legal team as well as IPS's legal team, I presume. So yeah, it's, you know, I wouldn't be recommending anything that had not gone through legal
Hi,
counsel.
Nikki.
Okay, thank you. Just to clarify.
Okay, Janie was in the queue.
Can you hear me now? Yeah, I just
Now I
have a
can,
question. When
How
we're
are
asking
you?
publicly what the land is really going to be used for, can we be specific about, can you tell me specifically like what is going to be used? I look in the contract and it's for general, project
do
and
too.
solar,
can't
pick up
see
a
me.
project. So can you tell me just a little bit more specifically what the actual land will be used for?
Yeah, I think the simplest way to respond is just to say that it's going to be used for a solar garden constructed by IPS.
Okay, thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Jess.
Any other questions or comments, discussion?
I can't see myself. Is that normal?
If
Can you
not,
pull
I'll
up
take
in the
the
little
vote.
corner on
I'm
the
just gonna
right?
go across my screen here, so I hopefully catch him right. Jim has acknowledged that he can't
go.
speak, but he can hear us, so I'll go by watching a hand motion from him.
Unpin.
Can you hear me now?
I do
Yes.
now.
Okay, I'm a
we
yay.
go. Now I got
Uh,
everybody.
Yes, however you want to do
Thank
it.
All right, we'll start
I'm
with
used to
you,
using
Jim.
Zoom,
He's
not
yay.
Google Meets.
Pam,
Yay.
Janie,
How are you?
Yay.
I'm good.
Or I.
Mike,
How's it going with youth outreach?
It's going
Mike?
really well. Yeah, it's
I'm-
busy. It's, I was
For
hired
it.
first for 20
All
hours
right,
a week
Mike
and then
approves.
upped it to
Yes.
30 hours a week. And I'm
Aye.
thinking at least that.
And I
trying
vote
to get
aye, it
everything
passes,
together and all the things that they
6-0.
do, we kind of all work together on it. So it's
Nice.
it's nice. I
there
love
is no
working
other
for them.
business to be here. Is there a motion
Awesome.
to adjourn?
Yeah.
It's a good
Moved.
game for both people then.
Second.
Moved by Janie,
Yes.
second.
Yes.
Jim
Hi,
wants a
Nikki.
second.
I don't believe we've met. I'm just.
Okay, moved by Janie, second by Jim.
Hi.
I'll do a roll call again. Let's start with
Jess, what Tom, are
Pam.
you guys getting feedback?
Aye.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna get out and get back in.
Hi.
Mike. He's froze.
Do I sound like that too, Nikki?
Heidi,
Do
No.
I?
Aye.
No,
Jim,
you better not.
Oh, I
Oh,
hear
you better
me.
too.
and I'll vote aye.
Really? I hear me.
And I
Huh.
guess we're adjourned. Thank
Nice
you,
meeting you,
everybody.
Brian.
Yeah, this is gonna
Thanks
be
for
fun
coming.
to try to
Thank you.
figure this out.
Thank you,
For
Brian.
all of these.
See everybody in a minute.
Hi, Nicole. Hi, Jennifer. I did hear a little bit of feedback from Nicole.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Ossendorf and Nikki Buck, and to say how excited we are to have you joining us. In a non-COVID world, it would be really great to be meeting in person so that we could share some information physically with you and to just have it be a more informal setting. But kind of my vision for tonight is to just have a very relaxed time to get to know one another, give you some information, and to give you an opportunity to ask questions too. You've got some seasoned board members here, some outgoing members, and so it's a great opportunity to ask questions as you have them as well. I did put together a very small agenda. It's not what you would see in the board book. We just put a bunch of information in the board book, but it's not really the agenda that we're going to follow. Right now, we'll start with introductions of the board members. And if you could tell us a little bit about yourselves and kind of your why, what made you feel compelled to run for school board? And I'd really like to hear from our current board members as well. If you could introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about why you're here on this board as well, that would be great. There is a chat box, and we use that chat box as kind of a way to raise our hands or talk so that we're not talking over one another. So if you have a question and you want to ask a question, go ahead and put that in the chat box. You can just put your name and then we'll call on you. So we'll introduce ourselves. There's some members of the administrative team here, so we'll have them introduce themselves as well. Jim Bryant is going to talk a little bit about kind of board 101, if you will, kind of what our roles and responsibilities are. I just wanted to call your attention to a couple of policies in the yellow binder. I don't know, I'm currently frozen on my own screen, but if you can see the yellow binder that Heidi and Lisa Stigurda and I have been working on to make sure we have some information to share with you tonight. There's a couple of policies I want to call attention to. Jackie Paradis is here this evening, and she's just going to give us a very brief overall overview of our finances. Heidi is going to talk about MSBA because that is a big part of what we, a place where we go for a lot of information. So I wanted Heidi to share a little bit about that. And then we'll talk a little bit about committee structure because that'll be one of the first things we do in January when you get started is to figure out who is going to be on what committees, when we're going to be meeting, all of that organizational stuff. I've asked Carson to talk just very briefly about our educational plan, and then we'll just open it up for questions. So again, I just wanted it to be very informal, welcome for all of you. So if we could start with the three new members, I'll start with, let's just go by alphabetical order. Nikki, you can go first. And then Anna, and then Jennifer. If you could introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about why you wanted to run for school board. So I'll turn it over to you, Nikki.
I knew I was going to go first because I'm always first with B. Anyways, Nikki Bach. So introduce myself. I born and raised here. I'm from the Prairie Island Indian community. I ran for school board because, well, for many reasons, but the number one reason is I'm tired of burying people my age and younger. And I've been an advocate for myself and Native people in the school system because some people don't learn. A lot of people don't learn once you get older. When you're younger, you feel like you're the only one. But when you get older, you realize that not everybody learns by the same structure. So I want to bring insight to people like me and others with diversity and different backgrounds in learning. Be a voice for everybody. I'm born and raised in community. I know that things can't be done and changes can't be made without an entire team and being able to work well with others. So I'm very community, very group based. So, and mainly just to bring my diversity to the table. Very diverse in many different ways and aspects. And I have, well, I do have a loud voice, but what I have is persistence. You know, I don't give up and I don't leave anybody left behind. And that's like not people too, like all living things. So I'd like to bring that to the table. So I think those are the reasons why I ran for school board. Sorry if that took too long. I do have a tendency to ramble on. So I'm working on time and I appreciate everybody's patience as I learn to navigate through different systems. There we go. Yay. Okay, I'll let it pass on.
Thank you so much for that, Nikki. I really appreciate that. And we all talk too much at some point, so no worries. We're in a good group here. Except for Jim. Just kidding, Jim. All right, Anna, up to you.
Hi, I'm Anna Ostendorf. I have lived in Red Wing now for 18 years. And the reason that I ran for school board is kind of part of my day job at Artreach. My passion is helping other people find their passion and encouraging people to be creative and be brave in their lives. So I wanted to bring that to the school board. And I also have quite a bit of educational experience as a substitute teacher, teaching art classes, teaching in a lot of different environments. So I thought that that could also be helpful.
Well, welcome to you. Thank you. And Jennifer.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Tift. I also, like Nikki, was born and raised in Red Wing. I moved away for college and for work. I was a teacher, so I've been passionate about education for a long time and about working with kids. When I came back to Red Wing and my girls started school here, I then started working as a volunteer in Red Wing Schools, and I just really appreciate everything Red Wing Schools has done for my family. And I feel like it was time to bring that passion to the board if possible. I worked on the referendum, and I think that's really how I end up getting into district issues and concerns and focusing a little bit more on what is really going on in the district. And then I ran 2 years ago and didn't make it after the referendum, and decided that this time, with everything that's going on with equity issues in the district, really was what drew me this time. I just feel like there is a segment of our population that is underrepresented. Not that I personally can represent them, but hopefully I can help them to have a voice in our community. And just concerns about the education gap. And so that's what really brought me here this time. And I'm thankful to be here and work with you all.
Thank you, Jennifer. We're happy that you are here as well. So again, welcome to the three of you ladies. We're very much looking forward to getting to know you. And with that, I will ask Mr. Bryant to introduce himself and what is your why?
Good evening. It was very interesting listening to Nikki, Anna, and Jennifer. Appreciate their input and their ideas and their thoughts, because my goal every day is to learn something new. Easy goal, but it's certainly something I strive to do every day. Myself, like two of the three, born and raised here, went to school here. My wife went here. My children went here. My brother and sisters went to school in Red Wing. My wife's brothers and sisters, so it goes on and on. Our nephews and nieces that live in the area. My mom graduated from here, so been on a lot of things and a lot of boards, and this came up, and I just knew that we had some issues with attendance, or not attendance, but kids leaving the school district. What can we do to keep bringing them back? What can we do to keep what we have here? Red Wing is very unique, and it's got a lot of things about it that is very unique. And I just wanted to be that person that could come forward and make a difference to the school that started me in my different careers that I've went into with the background or solid foundation of the education that I have. So, but I'm here. I'm excited to have the 3 new ones on board, because as much as they want to learn, I want to learn about them and their issues and the things, because I'll be quiet, because you can't learn if you're not listening. So that's what I'm here for.
Heidi, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, Heidi Jones. You know I'm leaving after 12 years here at the school board and 5 years directorship on MSBA. I originally ran to be a voice for kids. I've had to take that role on as a parent, and I learned I could advocate for children firmly and be effective doing it. And I think over the years of experience here, I've discovered that I have a real talent for governance. So to me, we'll always have an issue of the day, but it's how we come together to make those decisions, I think, that is important. And so I've worked for systems improvement. So some of the things I've done over the years are, as a school board chair for a while there, added a superintendent evaluation system, introduced this board to board self-evaluation, drastically changed committee structure so that 3 people didn't have most of the power. Everybody gets a share and an opportunity to learn in different areas. And then, so I'm very process-based, and I've built a lot of trust relationships here with the staff, and that's going to be one of the things I will deeply regret leaving behind, because I feel like that's one of the hidden things maybe that nobody tells you, but you have to build up your credibility and listen. And I started visiting all of the sites and saying, so tell me something I wouldn't normally hear, share some good news, and then tell me about the challenges and what you see ahead. So I think that honesty really helps you be a good board member. We have, I think, reconnected with MSBA. When I first came on the board, we weren't going to leadership conferences, but now I think every board member makes it there, and they have found that to be of high value because of all the different opportunities you have to learn. So embrace where you're at and enjoy what's ahead, because there's a lot to learn.
Yes, and I talked with all 3 of you last week, and I know it feels like you're drinking from the fire hose. So you've got a good group of people right here on your screen to ask any questions. Even our outgoing members, I know that they would be happy to take on any questions that you have as well. Arlen, how about, would you introduce yourself, please?
All right. Once again, I'm Arlen Dirks. Lifelong resident of the Red Wing area. I ran a successful solid waste business here for many years until I sold that about 15 years ago. I ran because I felt there were things I could contribute to the board, and I felt some disconnect. It's a gut feeling. I don't know how true it was, but that unless you were an exceptional scholar or a star athlete, sometimes you maybe were overlooked in our district. I never went to college. I didn't like school. I'm thankful for the years I got here in Red Wing. They gave me the tools, all the tools that I needed to be successful, and I'm very grateful for that. And I think a lot of you know that I'm very passionate about upgrading our wood shop and metal shop area, because that's the same equipment that I used, which was Army surplus back in 1960s and early 70s from World War II, Korean War, maybe even World War I, I don't know, but it was still in the shops yet up until this referendum came through here a couple of years ago. And I'm so thankful that we are we upgraded that area. And we are working very hard, and we've done many, many things to improve in the district, but there's a long ways to go. There's a lot of kids in our school that are on the wrong end of not being the popular person in school. We need to reach out to every student, and I'm a great proponent of that. I look forward to working with our new board members. And I'm going to start not at the beginning of the alphabet or the end of the alphabet, but I'm going to start with Anna. I'm thankful that Anna, and then I'm going to go to the end of the alphabet, Jennifer and Nicole, just so we can try to even it out a little bit. I'm thankful that you ran and you are on the board, and I'm really looking forward to working with you. And I know we'll do great things together. Thank you.
Well said, Arlen. Thank you. I'm just going down who I see on my screen, and Jeannie, you're up. If you could introduce yourself, please.
Hi, everybody. I'm Janie Fair, and I've been on the board for 8 years, and I will be leaving too. But I just appreciate all of you running, and I know I've worked with several of you on different committees, so I know you will do a great job, and appreciate that you were willing to put yourselves out there, because it's hard to run for office. So congratulations. But I guess I thought a little bit about what I wanted to say as I listened to others, and I ran initially just to kind of make sure that we were doing what the community wanted and what voters wanted and what our community saw as needs. So, I think as a new board member, I was really surprised at how much HR work we do. We do a lot of employee stuff and negotiations, and maybe it's just because I've had that heavy dose, but I think it was kind of eye-opening to me of how much of the board work is actually on HR issues. So I just would encourage you to ask questions and learn from these other people, because it does just take time to sit with others and listen about the process. And but it's really interesting, and I learned a lot. I think I could actually work in HR now if I really wanted to. So and then I think the thing I've loved the most is just the relationships with other staff. I mean, whether it's custodians or paras or the admin, it's great to have that relationship where you can grab them on the side at a football game and chat, or just have them be good friends. So I just wanted to say that it's a great opportunity to build relationships with other people and work together. So, and of course my other school board members have just been fantastic. So, but thanks and best of luck to you. So
Thank you, Jeannie. And Mike, are you here? Mike, I see that you're here.
Slow.
It's tough tonight, I know. Thank you for your patience.
Okay. There it is. All right. I'm Mike Christensen. I've been in Red Wing for 20 plus years. I got involved in the school board coming through attending PAC meetings and finding that, and the superintendent went to a lot of those, as I recall, when we were there, and he encouraged me to run for the board, I think basically because I showed up for some meetings. I came onto the board with no expectations. I had children who were in the gifted and talented program or in the classrooms, and they were in those classrooms, and in the same classroom I was helping out, and there was a kid there who could not read. And my thinking was, why are they trying to teach that entire spectrum of students? It seemed absurd to try and have one teacher reach that entire spectrum. So my goal was to try and get classrooms a little more concentrated. And we've gone through that in fits and starts trying to get that done. And I'm not certain how it's going. We don't exactly get a whole lot of reports on everything that we try to do. And no matter what we try to do, there's always something else that comes up to monkey the works. To try to, my recipe for success is to have low expectations, and so far it's worked pretty well in the district. I came in with, or maybe it was before then. We came in with the Obama. I don't know if Tim Pawlenty took a lot of money out of the school system, and it has never really recovered from that. Jesse Ventura came in and fixed it before. Anyway, I'm getting some people talk, I talk too, but anyway, people say it's an unrewarding job, but that's very wrong. It's very rewarding. You do get things accomplished, although not necessarily everything that you want to get accomplished. And it takes a lot of effort. I would highly recommend subscribing to Education Weekly. I did that for the first several years of my school board career, and it gets you well acquainted with the language of the business and also what is going on in the business. It's invaluable education. Also, when after a year or so on the board, Stan Slesser offered me, or the Southeast Service Co-op had an opening for a board member there, and Stan Slesser suggested that I should do that. So I got on that board, and I won a couple of elections since then, and I am still on that board for one more year, unless one of you would like to take the reins from me. It's an excellent board with really bright people, getting a large variety of information from small local governments and other school districts. It's a fantastic. I would imagine most of you, or at least some of you with kids who have been to the service co-op down in Rod for an event maybe. But if you are interested in that pig, and they meet once a month. It's been virtual, of course, for the last half year plus, but hopefully in another 3 or 4 months, maybe they'll be back meeting in person. And so that's my offer to you. And that's about all I've got to say. I believe that's enough, isn't it?
Well, and while we are all here, Heidi and Mike and Janie, just a huge thanks from all of us for your years of service on this board. Janie's been here for 8 years and Mike and Heidi both for 12. I have that correct, right? And so we have some big shoes to fill in terms of the amount of information that they have. I hope you know you're all on speed dial on my phone. So even though you're off this board, I'm going to be calling you probably still to get some advice and ideas. So thank you for your service. We will definitely miss you. My why, my husband and I moved here 18 years ago without any children. We came from the cities. But we were both small town people. And the first thing we did when we moved here is we looked at the school system, right? Because we all know that schools are the heart of a community. Strong schools leads to strong communities. And shortly after we moved here, we started our family. And the first thing I did once we had children is I started in early childhood family ed. And so my family and I have been raised by the school system here, if you will, because we've been in all of the programs. We've taken advantage of all of the great programs in our district. And like Mike, I was in PAC, like with Jeannie. And the other thing is, in my professional life, I am a social worker, and I worked for years as a school social worker, both up in the cities and in the Rochester School District. And so I've always had that passionate advocacy for education and for kids. I used to also work at Children's Hospital in Minneapolis, and so I worked with a lot of sick kiddos too. And so I just felt like the school board was a place where I could mesh all of my passions with some professional expertise and hopefully make a difference here on this board. And so that is my why. And I'm very excited to have been elected, reelected with you three ladies, because there was quite a large group of women who were vying for these 4 spots. And so I'm very honored to be able to be on this board with all of you, and thank you. With that, I know we've got some administrators on the line who would like to just very briefly introduce themselves. And I'm just going to go down my queue on who I see is here. So Alan Gaylor, you are here. Would you like to introduce yourself first to our new folks? Alan, I know you're here. I've seen you. Oh, there's his beautiful living room, maybe. Alan, are you there? All right, we'll come back to you. How about Dawn? Dawn Wettering, are you here?
Yes, I am. I'm Dawn Wettering. I'm the Director of Community Education and Recreation. I moved to Red Wing 31 years ago and started in community ed as a coordinator. I started the Adults with Disabilities program, and I've been there ever since. Welcome to the new people, and I just want to say thank you to our outgoing board members. They've added wonderful things to our district, and they certainly contributed a lot of time. So thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. Alan, I see you're back.
I'm back. Sorry, my wife made a bunch of Christmas cookies and things, and so I was snacking, and the kids said, "Well, you can hear them. They're asking for you." So I'm sorry I didn't make it back in time. I am the Buildings and Grounds Director. I was hired in July, so I am following up. Kevin was the old one. So I'm in charge of Buildings and Grounds, the custodians, the arena, and I'm fairly new to learning. So I welcome all the new board members and look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Gaylor. George Nemenich.
Hello. I just want to thank Pam for giving me an opportunity to welcome our new board members. I'm George Nemenich, principal at the high school. I am looking forward to working with all of our new board members, and I've been a resident of Red Wing for 31 years as well, Don. I had no idea you moved into town at the same time I did. I also wanted to thank, as Don did, our outgoing board members. Their longevity shows that they were successful in their role, and we really appreciate all the work that they've done. I just want to thank the incoming members for mentioning the equity work that they're very interested in doing, because I think that's something that as a district we are working on, and we want to continue in that on that role within the district. So really excited to have all of you on board, and looking forward to working with you.
Thank you, Mr. Nemenich. I will go down to, how about Jen Grove?
Good evening. My name is Jen Grove. I am principal at Burnside. It is my first year at Burnside. For that, I'm very grateful. I've been at Twin Bluff since 2015, and prior to that, I started teaching in the Red Wing School District in 2006 as a special ed teacher. I think we are at almost 18 years here in Red Wing. It's a great place for my husband and I to raise our kids. And again, just welcome to the board. I'm so glad that you're here, and thank you very much to our board members who have done so much work for us. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Jess Whitcomb.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jess Whitcomb. I'm the Director of Teaching and Learning, and I did join Alan in August as well. So we are new learning together in the district office. So my title is fits me nicely. Lots of learning, a lifelong learner. Thank you for running. Thank you to the outgoing board members. I think you're seeing some of your hard-fought battles coming to fruition. So I appreciate all of your fights. We just start carrying them on now. So thank you, and I'm excited to work with you all.
Thanks, Jess. Kim Corey.
Hi, everybody. It's always fun to watch YouTube and then hear, hey, admin, why don't you introduce yourselves? And then we all go, oh, I didn't do my hair tonight. Okay. Anyway, lovely to meet all of you. Thank you to Anna and Nikki and Jennifer. One thing is that I'm Kim Corey. I'm the Dean of Students. I guess I should go into that. Kim Corey, the Dean of Students at Jefferson. And I've had the fortune of being in this district since 2007. Kind of my dream job. I was the music teacher. I've actually probably had all of your kids in one way, shape, or form. I've actually had I've had all of the outgoing board members' kids. I also have done quite a lot of work for Education Minnesota Red Wing. I encourage the new board members to really study your contracts, as that is a major piece of determining, just like Janie said, HR things and budgetary things. But we're really thankful for the three of you outgoing. We're going to miss you, but we know that we're in good hands with our new three. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kim. Min, are you there?
Hi, yeah, I am. Thanks for having me. I'm Min. I'm the director of Cobble Family Center. I'm the director of Cobble Family Center for the next 4 days. I retire on Friday. And when people ask me how I feel about that, I am simultaneously very excited and terrified. So in equal proportions. I started with the district in 1990 as a 1-year long-term sub, and here I am 30 years later. So who knows where the journey will take us. So I really very sincerely want to thank all the outgoing board members for your service and for your leadership. It has made a big difference in our district. And our new board members, I'm so excited to have you all here. And even though I won't be working directly with you, I will be intently watching the work that you do, because I know you're going to do good things here. So Cobble Family Center, as probably most of you know, is the early childhood center for the district. We have family education. Pam, thank you for your shout out to Family Ed. Early childhood special education, Cobble Kids Preschool, which is the school district preschool, and early childhood screening. We are currently the only school in the district that is in session, and it's going very well. And I think one of the things that I didn't expect when we made that huge decision to return to in-person on November 30th was how it would feel to see parents dropping their children off for preschool. And I looked out of my office window one day and I thought, we are giving people a semblance of normalcy that is really hard to get right now. So for many, many reasons, it's going very well. So thank you again to all of you for all your service.
Thank you so much, Min. I see Mr. Pagel is on the line.
I am on the line. I'm going to be perfectly internet, and it's not cooperating very well tonight. So this has been really choppy, even just trying to stream it. So I am going to turn my camera off in the hopes that maybe that will help. So it's not that I don't want you all looking at my beautiful face. We are just introducing ourselves? Is that what we're doing?
Yep.
Great. Perfect. Well, I'm Mike Pagel. I'm the principal at Sunnyside Elementary. This is my 4th year, I guess it's as the principal at Sunnyside. So I've done a few different things. I started as the K-5 computer teacher, was a 4th grade teacher for several years, some time with Title I, then as a student support coordinator at Sunnyside, and was then lucky enough to step into the principal role a few years ago. So that's kind of my experience in the district. Just wanted to say, first of all, kind of to echo what I heard Min saying, She stole my thunder, but thank you to the outgoing board members for everything that you do. I know that over your time, you've wrestled with a lot of difficult decisions. And then also just welcome to the company. I don't know if you caught some of that or all of that or most of that. No idea.
We got most of it, Mike.
Okay. Most is better than none, right?
That's right. Thanks for tuning in. And I need to back up and just say, Min, congratulations. I am sad to hear that you'll be leaving us. I knew that was coming, and I was fairly in denial about that. She's been such a great leader in our district for so many years. And so I'm sad to see you leaving, but I am excited for your next adventure. So congratulations.
Thanks very much, Pam.
Yeah. And Sonia Smith, I see that you are on the line as well. If you could introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Sonia Smith. I'm actually coming to you from my car. I'm not driving, so don't worry. I am the Director of Special Education for Red Wing, and I work with GCED under Sherry Johnson. I've been with the district for 1 year, so I'm 1 year young, and I am learning who everyone is. So I will continue to learn with all of the new board members, and I do want to appreciate those who are going out because I did get to experience some of what you do, and it has been such a journey and greatly appreciated. Thanks for allowing me to join you on this ride.
Thank you, Sonia, for joining us for a little bit. Drive safely. Did I miss anybody?
Jackie Paradis.
Oh, Jackie. Yep, there you are. Jackie, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. So I am Jackie Paradis. I am the business manager. So I oversee the accounting and budget of the district, as well as human resources and our student accounting departments. MARS, as you'll most likely hear them referred to. I have been with the district since 2004. I started as the district accountant. I have kind of a different history with the district. I left in 2006 and was contracted back in the same role as the district accountant. So I was the district accountant from 2004 to 2015 when I took over for Brad Johnson in the business manager role. So I have a little bit of history with the district. I am very grateful for the board members I have worked with, those that are outgoing. They have a wealth of knowledge. And also welcome to all of you. I look forward to working with you in the future. Thanks.
Thanks, Jackie. We'll have her rejoin us here in a few minutes to talk about some financial overview. A couple of other people, Superintendent Anderson, I didn't want to forget you. You are a key board member. And so if you could introduce yourself and a little bit about your background.
Sure. I'm Karsten Anderson, the superintendent. I have 3 boys and a daughter or a girl who is very close to me as well. So this is my 10th year as superintendent in Red Wing. And yeah, I just want to thank all of you for your previous commitment and your upcoming commitments. It's a big job. It's an important job, but I think we're gonna have a lot of fun together, even though we have some difficult decisions as always with any school district. So, one thing I just noticed, as people are introducing themselves, I think my biggest accomplishment over the last 10 years is hiring some great people. And I think everyone on the call, all the admin I've hired, in their current role, and I've hired other building and district leaders except for Kevin Johnson, Chris Palmatier, and Sherry Johnson. So we have a great admin team and a great school board, and I think that's going to make us better.
Mm-hmm. And last but not least, Lisa, are you on the call? Can you introduce yourself? She is the glue that holds us all together.
I'll second that, by the way, Pam.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi. Yes, I'm Lisa Stegeda. I work with Karsten in the district office, and I've only been with Red Wing since February. I started in February and COVID hit in March, so it's been a very interesting year to to learn a new job, but I absolutely love it here, and the people here are wonderful. And I look forward to working with the new board members, to continue working with the ones that are remaining. And I'm going to miss the ones that are leaving, especially Heidi. She's just been a wonderful source and an inspiration to work with. So.
Thank you. And for new board members, Lisa is the person that when you do have questions, you can't get on the internet, you need something, she is the person that is key to helping you with all of your questions. I am not kidding you when I say she's the glue. All right. So thank you for everybody who has shared and introduced yourselves. I thought it was really a time well spent. It's important to be able to put some names and faces together. And so this is really the heart of what we do is the team and the work that we do together. And the admin team is very much a part of everything that is it's kind of the engine that makes this school district run. So thank you to all the administrative members who took time out to introduce yourselves. You are more than welcome to stay if you would like, as well as you outgoing board members, but you might find the things that you already know or maybe would be interested in. You're welcome to stay, but not necessary. So again, thank you for joining us for a little bit tonight. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Jim. Thanks, Jeannie, who will share just a little bit about board work, kind of responsibilities of the board. In your yellow packet that you all received, there very close to the front, there will be, let's see if I can find it very quickly here. And I can't. Oh, yeah. So responsibilities of the school board, it kind of looks like that. So we'll kind of be going off of that. So I'll turn it over to Jim and listen in. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening again. Just a couple things I want to talk about. Obviously, there's a lot to discuss. I'm not going to take that time tonight because we're all around to help. Been on boards about over a third of my life. So boards are so much different than committees. Committees are very beneficial for boards because, and many of you have been on committees, we can discuss things, dissect things, get it down to bring it to the board for formal action. So with that, you're going to be you have the distinct honor of being selected by around 20,000 people in our school district to serve on the school board. That's an approximate number, and that's a very rough number who live in our district. So keep those people in mind as you're going forward, along with what's best for the school going forward. A couple of things I've learned the hard way I can share with you. Many years ago, I made a mistake of calling somebody instead of going through the proper chain of command by going to their supervisor or boss. It was hard for me to do, but it was the right thing to do to make that correction. So I encourage you, if you get calls, phone call, emails, people stopping to talk to you about something, to reach out to the people that, if it's a school, Mr. Nemenich, Ms. Grove, Mr. Pagel, Superintendent Anderson, to reach out to them to get your answers, questions, instead of going to a custodian or a para or somebody else like that. It just saves things going down the road. You won't have to learn what I did. I had to do that. I made that mistake. So, and I'm big enough to admit it, So you're going to find on a board too is there's procedures and motions and discussion. And there are going to be days where you're going to be frustrated with the way the thing went, the discussion went, or the vote went. Try your best just to leave it in that room, because at the end of the day, you got to go out and other things go on in life. And I always encourage people to make their best decision, make the decision with the best available information that you have at the time. And if you don't have that information, ask for it or delay the decision if necessary. We've had some pretty major decisions the last year that no matter what we decided wasn't going to make there are going to be certain people that aren't going to be happy. That's what you get, that about 50 cents an hour you get to do. because that's what it ends up being about during the year, all the time and energy that you put into it. So it's a wonderful schools are so much different. Like I was on the county board, and Arlen and I are on town board. I've been on state boards, regional boards. Schools are somewhat different. You don't have the levy authority. You cannot go to your taxpayers and say, we need this much money. We're dependent upon referendums and state funding. So school boards are very unique that way. It's rewarding. It's interesting. Yes. But committees, as the chairs mentioned, are vital for any board. And I know all of you have been on some form of committees and that, and there's so many more I can talk about, but I'm going to go on. I may have to leave this meeting after a little while, but I've reached out to all of you. Feel free to, by email, phone calls, give me a call if you have a question, comment, you want to talk, any further information. I walked in, we didn't have this orientation. I think it's wonderful. So reach out to the board members. If it's not myself, give somebody else, but we're here to all work together. We may not always agree, but at the end of the day, we're here best to serve what we can, the position that we're here to do. So thank you for taking time to let me speak, and thank you for putting your name down and one of the four that prevailed on November 3rd, including Pam here too. So, okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks so much. And I think all of you have gone to phase 1 and phase 2. So they go over kind of the roles of the board and how that works. The big thing that I learned when I first came on the board is really we're here as a governance model. We're not here to dig our hands in and do all the work. We're here to set policy and make sure policy is enforced. And we're also the biggest cheerleaders of the school district, right? And so we work to make sure that the school is working as effectively and as efficiently as it possibly can, but also making sure that the students are at the center of everything that we do. That's why we're all here. And so just to remember that the board governance model is in your yellow binder. So I'll just remind you to just look in that. One of the biggest things that we do is we are, as a board, the superintendent's supervisor. He is our only employee. And so a big piece of what this board does is engages in a yearly evaluation, which we just completed this November. And then in May, we'll be doing kind of a dip your toe in the water. How are you doing? Half year kind of formative evaluation just to see how things are going. And so that's kind of the cycle of how it works with the evaluations for the superintendent. Right now, I'm going to turn it over to Heidi Jones. I'm going to skip around on my agenda a little bit because I know Heidi has to leave here in a little bit too for another engagement. I've asked her to share a little bit about MSBA, which you've probably learned a little bit about with all of your phase 1 and phase 2. It's the Minnesota School Board Association. Heidi's just going to explain a little bit about their role in what we do and how they can be helpful for us.
All right, thank you. So I started out discovering that I really liked the legislative stuff and the larger context of not just what's going on in Red Wing, but what does it look like against the state, other rural districts, like-sized districts. So I got involved in the delegate assembly, and that's a grassroots process that MSBA runs with representation from school board members all over the state. And it was a great way to learn a whole bunch of stuff. And I've been doing that for 11 years. And then because of my exposure in that arena, when their opening came up for a directorship, I put my name in and was elected. And I've been doing that for 5 years, 5 or 6. Minnesota school boards, you've had a baptism by fire with your training over the last couple of days doing that. So I don't want to spend a ton of time, but we really are the primary public education advocacy organization in the state. There are 3 others, a rural one, a metro one, and then a mixed one that is mostly focused on funding. And I won't go into that, but MSBA represents all districts. Our members by choice are members of MSBA. So we embrace all the all the aspects of, we don't promote rural districts. We don't advocate for metro districts over any others. We're about everybody getting kind of what they need. The tagline is where school boards learn to lead. So again, you have many staff on MSBA have been school board members themselves. I would encourage you to develop some relationships there with staff, that this is the go-to person for board development, or that's the go-to person on policy. There are you've probably been exposed to some of the opportunities MSBA offers, and I think every single one of them has value. They're offering during these COVID times many more virtual webinar opportunities, and they did have an equity one about 2 weeks ago. And that's led by Paula O'Loughlin, great person who's has been working in the equity space, and now she's joined MSBA. There's a summer seminar, which is usually focused on equity issues. The leadership conference you're aware of, and it'll be different this year, but a variety of opportunities to learn. The phase training you've already participated in. There's Day at the Capitol that will also be virtual, I learned today. We usually visit the Capitol and make appointments with our legislators, and we focus on some of the top topics of that legislative session. Another way for you to stay in touch and gain some context about, hey, is Red Wings really unique in this area, or are other districts experiencing similar situations, with student enrollment, with funding of programs. So you can subscribe to the Weekly Advocate or the news clipping services. And then the Weekly Advocate will keep you in touch with state legislative efforts. They will queue you up to participate in an action alert with your legislators, something that's happening immediately. And then the news clippings, again, kind of gives you a taste of what else is going on in the state with other districts and other communities. I've mentioned the legislative efforts and the delegate assembly. And that's all I had for you tonight. I wanted to keep it pretty simple. Again, it's I think, like I said earlier, when I first came onto the district, the board had kind of fallen out of the regular habit of attending the leadership conference. And I think that's one of our growth areas, that this board, after 12 years, just about everybody participates in the leadership conference. And I think they find it to be of high value to them, because you can learn about PR efforts, you can learn about the superintendent's contract, you can learn about equity issues. They tie in nicely with the finance department of the Minnesota Department of Education. The keynote speakers are very inspiring. It always stretches my brain just a little bit more about, oh, wow, that phrase or that concept, or this is how you applied it, or you enabled me to think of something in a different way. So if you have any questions at this point, I could stand for those. If not, then good luck to you. Congratulations. And reach out to me, please, at any time if you need some feedback or just to ask a question.
Thanks so much, Heidi. You have but thank you for joining us and for sharing that about MSBA. They are a great resource. There you are. MSB is a great resource. Heidi's always been able to come to the board table and give us an update on what is going on at MSBA. There's also a great group of people there that are lobbying for education and what our needs are in our district and Minnesota districts all across the state. So they're a great resource and a great place to find information when you have questions too. The leadership conference, I think you've all signed up. It's going to be virtual this year, which is unfortunate, and it's fortunate and unfortunate. I'm glad they're still able to provide some education to us in a virtual format. It's unfortunate, however, because it's always a great opportunity, especially for new members, for us to get to know each other a little bit better. It's usually a 3-night stay up in the cities with a lot of interacting with school board members from across the state. So a big piece of that is getting to know other people in other districts, finding out what their struggles are, how they've been navigating through different things. So hopefully we'll be back to normal in 2022 and we'll be able to all go up and spend a long weekend up there learning. But I'm signed up and I'm excited that we'll be able to do some virtual conference at over Zoom here. Let's see. Jackie, are you still here? Would you like to give a finance update? And then I don't want to keep you all night long. So if you could give us just a little brief overview, that would be great. I thought it might be helpful for our new board members to just kind of get up to date on where things are at financially. And again, this is drinking out of the fire hose, but hopefully Jackie will keep it easy to digest. For now.
Yeah. Like Pam said, she asked me to keep it short, and school finance is like nothing you have probably ever seen before. Can you see my presentation now? Somebody want to give me a verbal yes?
Yes, I can see it.
All right, great. So some things I'm going to cover are an enrollment history and our enrollment projections for going into the coming budgetary years, and then kind of same thing on the financial side. One thing you'll learn about administrators in education is we talk in acronyms. So here are some of the common acronyms I may use while presenting. If we are saying something in an acronym, please stop whoever is presenting and have us spell it out for you. We get so used to talking in these abbreviations and acronyms that we don't catch ourselves doing it. So MDE, Minnesota Department of Education. ADM, average daily membership. It is how we count our students. So a 1.0 ADM is one student enrolled for a full school year. WADM is the method of ADM we are funded on. So the state, when they apply the funding formula, weights grades 7 through 12 at a 1.2. So we get a little more funding for the high school levels. UFARS is the Uniform Financial Accounting and Reporting Standards. It is the coding system we have to use to classify our expenses and report data to the Department of Ed. FTE is a term you'll hear a lot in staffing. It means full-time equivalent. So a 1.0 FTE is one staff working 100% of the contract days for his or her group. So the number of contract days, or a 1.0 FTE for a district office staff, is a full calendar year, or for this current year, 261 days. But it varies. For a teacher, it's 193 days. For a paraprofessional, it might be 187 days. So it really varies group to group what that 1.0 FTE, how many working days that is. All right, so some of our enrollment history. And if this is too small for you, this was included, I believe, sometime today as an extra in the board agenda if you want to pull it up. So this is a little bit of our enrollment history since 2007. We have had very steadily declining enrollment, but it hasn't been sharp until recently. So this goes through last school year in 2020. And as we talk about this school year, you'll see we are down about 140 students currently from where we ended last year. So we've had very steadily declining enrollment. The green bar there is economic status. That is the number of families who qualify for free and reduced lunch. You can see since 2007 that has increased, but in the last number of years that has been steady. SWD means students with disabilities. So it's the number of students in special education. Again, that has been fairly steady in the about 15 to 17% of our students have a disability. And then the ELL LEP is our English language learners, or the students whose English is not their first language. Net open enrollment out. This is the number of students that are open enrolling, that are residents of Red Wing, that are choosing to open enroll elsewhere. It has been pretty steady between 260 and 280 students out. This would be net of incoming transfers from other districts. Another slide of interest here is our demographics, our student demographics. As we can see, since 2007, our percentage of white population is steadily declining as we bring in a more diverse student body. Enrollment projections is the next area I'll go into. So working with the Finance Committee this fall, we've developed some enrollment projections. So you'll see our history there since 14-15. What we're currently projecting for budget for 2021 there is in the checkered graph. And then what we're projecting for 21-22 all the way to 25-26. So again, very steady to slightly declining enrollment. Some of our financial history. So this is our fund balance of our operating funds and how it has changed since 2010. And when I say operating funds, I am including the general fund, which is where the majority of our operations take place. This is where all the teaching is, custodial, maintenance, business services, things like that, but also the food service fund and the community ed fund. And we hit our peak of our fund balance there in 2012. And we took a dip in the 2015, going down to 2015, and then we have been slightly increasing since then. We just submitted final financial data to the state as of November 30th, so those graphs have not been updated yet for fiscal 2020, although we did add about $1 million to our fund balance for fiscal 2020.
Jackie?
Yeah.
This is Mike. Does that include the accumulation and dispersion of our referendum monies?
It does. So the referendum
it's
operates on
important. It's a really ugly book,
yeah,
but it's not as ugly as it looks in real life.
right.
Go ahead, if you could explain that a little bit.
So I'm going to switch one more slide here, Mike, to where I'm only have our general fund in here. And you can see that curve. When we pass a referendum, we have to select an amount that is going to fund us for the next 5 years. But when we do that, we end up collecting more money in the earlier years to fund the back end years. So our fund balance will operate in a curve. So we'll go up for a couple of years, and then on the back end of that referendum, right before it renews, we'll see our fund balance start to decline again. So right now we're on the up. Our referendum passed in 2018. The first year we collected that was for the 18-19 school year. You'll see the money starting to increase, and our fund balance will start to increase. And then in a couple of years here, we're going to see it start to come down, and we'll have to make decisions on, especially with the current situation, on how far we want that to fall before we start making reductions. So this is just our general fund operations, which is, go ahead, Mike.
And determining what we're going to ask for in the next referendum, because you will be asking for another referendum.
Right.
That's all.
Okay. This slide here is just our general fund, which again is our classroom operations, our custodial, business office, technology, things of that nature. You can see on both of these graphs, there's a number of color codings. Our state funding is not entirely discretionary by the board. There are some state dictated reserves and the amounts of those reserves. So you can see a listing there of the designated money and how much was available at year end as a percentage of our expenses. Our current budget. So I don't know if you listened, I presented a little bit about this last week at the Truth and Taxation meeting. Here's our current budget with year-end actual balances. And then where our money comes from. The majority of our money comes from the state of Minnesota, which is very important because the legislative session has the most impact on what we receive in funding every year. As Heidi mentioned, she's really gotten into the legislative end. When I came out of college, I never imagined I would follow the legislature as much as I do, and as I do now in my profession. Most of our money does come out of the state of Minnesota, and we follow that legislative session very closely and those forecasts to see what is coming next and make our best guesses on what they will do. For expenses, the majority again of our expenses are in salaries and benefits for our staff. We are a people business. Most of our services could not be delivered without people. And so when we're talking about budget reductions, it is very hard to make significant budget reductions without impacting the people who work for us, unfortunately. 75 to 80% of our budget is our staff. Some upcoming challenges that again are probably going to hit like a fire hose in probably February, March, as we start talking about our budget for next school year. Right now, we are seeing a large decrease in enrollment. We're estimating that through the end of the year, we could be down 170 students. This is not unique to Red Wing. Districts across the state are experiencing this. We're seeing that students and families are more mobile as families are looking for work. We're also seeing more students statewide choose non-public schools or fully online schools this year. We have seen a lot of students move and even move out of state, not just move within the state. Some questions we'll need to answer as a group, as a board, is where do we see will we see an increase in our enrollment once COVID is in the rear view mirror, or is this the way it's going to be now? What assumptions do we make as we make budget and staffing decisions for 21-22? Because more than likely we won't know the answer to the question right above it, is what will our enrollment do when COVID's in the rear view mirror, when we have to make those budget and staffing decisions. Just things on our finances, we'll see declining enrollment equals less revenue for our general fund operations, for those classroom, business office, custodial, technology. All of that is generated, the formulas are generated on enrollment. So if our enrollment's going down, we're going to have less money to work with. This upcoming legislative session is a funding year. They fund schools on a biennium. So it's every 2 years, and then our formula is set for 2 years unless we see change, unless they see to change it for some reason, which is quite rare. The additional costs related to COVID, we are not planning for an increase in the general ed formula upcoming. Unfortunately, though, our referendum plan did plan for an increase every year. We had been receiving a 2% increase quite regularly. So if we don't see an increase coming out of the legislature, we're more than likely going to be looking at budget cuts coming up to help meet our goals. The other thing we're seeing is with the free meals this school year, we're seeing less families fill out the application for educational benefits. The results of these applications drive not only our meal program, but also programs like programs for English language learners, Title I, and basic skills. Any questions? Like I said, I know that's drinking out of the fire hose again.
Thank you so much, Jackie. It's a lot to digest. Her presentation is in the board book, I believe, and so feel free to go back and look at that at your leisure. Jackie's been an amazing resource for this board and for the district. And so she'll be joining us on a fairly regular basis to give us updates and advice and walk us along this journey. So questions for Jackie?
Yeah. And if you have them as you look at the presentation later on, send me an email.
For sure.
Jackie, this is Heidi.
Yeah, Jackie's very good in a human language about these things. So yeah, I'm slow. I won't talk anymore. It's too delayed.
Yeah,
I need a new
it's
computer.
frustrating. I was informed by the executive director of MSBA that the House K-12 Finance Committee met on Friday, and they are considering a compensatory funding movement that'll buy a little time, but I don't know if it's going to do everything we need it to do. But they're backing it because at least the legislators are having the understanding, and it is an opportunity to start sharing our story, which we hope to do next Monday with our legislators, about what are those compensatory numbers, what does it mean for the district's budget, and then, you know, how can the legislature help support schools going ahead. So I'll be talking with Karsten tomorrow, see if we're developing that whole numbers, the story by the numbers package for the COVID impacts for Red Wing. So thanks.
I know you guys, this is Anna. I know you guys talked in one of the previous board meetings about contacting families to fill out that application for educational benefits. Have you seen more of them come back in? Has that worked, or like does something else still need to be done to get more people filling those out?
Yeah, I'll answer that, Anna. This is Karsten. The Brent Lexfold, our director of nutrition services, is the one who kind of led that charge. And we had about 20 paraprofessionals who called every family in the district. I know that we received dozens more applications because of that effort. You know, if the state does extend the deadline to mid-January, which is what we think is going to happen, we might get some more, but I still think overall we'll be down. So, you know, if you happen to be talking to families, you know, please encourage them to consider filling it out, you know, even if they don't know if they're going to meet the standards, because we evaluate whether or not they meet the criteria. And the more they meet the criteria, the better it is for our school district.
Right. I know we got a call here. So thanks to all those folks for making all of those calls. That was a lot of work, but definitely worth the effort. Good question. Thanks, Heidi. All right. Any other questions for Jackie on finances? We just have a couple more things to just highlight, and then we can just open it up for general questions. On this, have you all been able to navigate to the school website and find out where the school board link is? Under that link, there is where you can click on all of the committees and the committee assignments that we currently have. So this isn't the time to talk about who's going to be on what committee, because that happens after the chair in January will meet with you and talk about which committees you would like to be working on. But just kind of on your own leisurely time, if you would look at all of those committees and see if there are some things that might fit for you, just kind of keep that in mind, and we'll talk about that more in January. And
then Pam, if I could add one thing to that. Yeah. During the year, we did change our committee listing in a policy to include a teaching and learning committee. And so that may not be listed on that list because it occurred mid-year, but that should be a real dynamic committee as well.
As is the equity. Would we put the equity committee on that as well?
Yep, definitely. We have several other committees where we have school board representatives or liaisons. It's not a regular committee, but yeah, we have the equity team and 2 or 3 district advisory council and some of those groups. And so, yeah, there'll be a nice offering for everyone to consider.
Yeah. And a big piece of what we do is negotiate with all of the different labor groups. And so that's very time consuming, but we'll be looking for 1 or 2 people to join the negotiations team as well. In your yellow binder, I'm not going to spend any time on this at all, but I did have Lisa print out all of the policy 200s. We have many, many policies. And so when you have nothing to do, if you want to go back onto that school board link on the website and read through all of those. Just kidding. We review a third of those every year. So in a 3-year cycle, we get to review all of them. So you'll eventually read all of them, but they are all there for your reference. But the number 200s, all of the number 200 policies pertain directly to school board and our roles, our duties, and especially pay attention to number 209, Code of Ethics. This is a really important one. And I think it's been mentioned a time or two tonight that we may not all agree, but at the end of the day, we support the decision that is made by the board and we speak as one voice. And that's a big piece, I think. And the other piece just I wanted to highlight was to remember that our responsibility is to set the policy, but not to implement the policy. We hire the superintendent and he in turn hires all of the other admins to actually implement the policy. We set the policy and then hold the superintendent to make sure that those are being followed. All right, with that, Superintendent Anderson, do you want to just talk briefly about the education plan? That's also been an add-on in your packet, the agenda packet for tonight. More light reading. Oh, you're on mute.
All right, I'm presenting the summary of the education plan that was developed about 3 years ago. Take me just a minute here. By the way, as extras to this board packet, there's not only the summary, but also a more detailed list of the things that we've done since July 1st to fulfill the education plan. It's surprising in how much work has occurred, even though we're in the middle of COVID. And then finally, there's also a chart that shows referendum promises that we issued about 2 years ago before the referendum. And so we are making every possible effort to fulfill every single one of those promises. And I think we're doing a very good job, even in COVID, to implement the education plan and to follow our operating levy referendum promises. The only exception that some people might question is that this year we are not, or we had to extend our bus radius to 2 mile, walking zones. And just to give you a talking point, we didn't do that to save money. We did it because the state issued guidance as far as how many kids we could have on a bus at a particular time. And we couldn't get more buses because there weren't buses available. And so that's why we had to increase the walking zones to 2 miles. So, but if you look through everything else, I'm really proud of the work that we've done so far with our operating levy referendum and our education plan. And that work's just gonna continue. Can you see the summary on your screen?
Yeah.
Good. So you can read through the vision, mission, and core values, at your leisure. And we'll definitely go over the strategic directions in more detail. I think each one deserves, much lengthier review by everyone. But you can see under the first bullet, we have a lot of work as far as establishing career pathways. Mick Wendland is the lead in that. We also have Nikki Larson helping with internship coordination. We did great work last year. The work is looking different this year because of COVID, but they're still active in establishing those pathways. Towards the bottom, you can see that we had updating student computers, curriculum, and instructional equipment as needed. I will tell you, there's nothing like a global pandemic that could have forced or that could have encouraged us to implement what we've done in the last year. And I felt like we were behind the game until COVID hit, and now I think we're even one of the leaders of the pack in terms of the work that we're doing with distance learning, some of the curriculum choices that have been marshaled through, and some of that work. So I think we have good progress there. And then you can see the other three main areas in terms of how we're focusing instruction and professional growth, creating a different environment for our students and staff, as well as continuing to provide high quality and efficient services in the district. So if you have any particular questions, feel free to ask me now, otherwise, or at any time. Otherwise, we'll give more detailed presentations over the next few months.
And just a little history behind that one-page educational plan summary. The board that was working prior to joining us went through a very lengthy, detailed strategic plan. And so that's where a lot of the mission and the core values and the vision have come from. And then, of course, the strategic directions came directly from the referendum planning and what we heard very loud and clear from our staff and our students and many, many stakeholders in the community on where we needed to go.
I will say that the most significant deficiency in the plan is that I don't think we mentioned equity in any part of it. I think it's implied in certain areas, and certainly when we're making decisions, we try to focus on equity, but it's not mentioned. It's not highlighted in the strategic plan. The board and administrative team recognize that. In fact, one of the board goals for the next year is to really focus on equity, and and certainly that's one of my goals as well. The full school board and administrative team is really focused on that. It just wasn't woven in this particular document. So, and also, as we mentioned earlier, we do have an equity team that's really looking at a lot of different issues. So we're starting to really focus or highlight that important work, and we just need to keep doing it.
Mm-hmm. And we started with we just purchased new curriculum that is very inclusive, and we're very proud of that, the Wonders curriculum. And so we actually, as a board, about a year ago, passed around all of the books and different things so that we could actually look and see what was being purchased. And we felt very good about that product. And so that's one step, one check that we can mark off. All right. I feel like that is a lot of information coming at you. Pretty quick timing. Yes, sir.
Boy, I'm really delayed. I just want to remind everybody that this document, the Red Wing Vision, Mission, or Values, is not carved in stone. So the new board can do what they want with it. So if we want to emphasize more equity, go at it and make it a priority. Make it a verbal and written priority. Before I was on the board, we got together to write the mission statement for Red Wing Public Schools. So we were a part of writing that statement. And it was my brilliant idea to have it spoken before every school board meeting, which we do now, every board meeting. But I think it does help to keep that, remind you that that is what we're trying to do. There have been people who said that is out of date now, and I would agree. So it would be good to readjust that vision statement for the Red Wing Public Schools to more accurately reflect 2020, 2021, 2040. It's very difficult to plan and act in a way that gets things moving in the future where you want to go, because there's so much crap coming at you all the time, like COVID is the most magnificent, but every freaking year there's something else coming at you every month. And so think ahead, but you're going to have to get ready to really react to a lot of stuff that comes your way. But go for the future, because that's where ultimately that's what we're all looking for we're what we should be looking for in this game. Thanks, Pam.
Thanks, Mike. Well stated. You're right. That is something that we need to continually look at, that education plan. We do have a big cardboard make of that education plan. So when we can meet in person, it's usually on an easel right in front of us, because all of our decisions that we make as a board should be tailored and go right back to that strategic direction. Are the decisions that we're making, are they relevant to our educational plan? So that plan is always in front of us every meeting that we have. All right. Questions? Whose head is just blown right now?
Thank you. That's a lot to go through. The good thing is that for our phase 1 and phase 2 training, we had a kind of a broad introduction to all of these things. So it was nice to be able to bring it down to the district level a little bit more. So I appreciate that. And Mike, I really appreciate your comment about looking to the future, because I think when we're learning about all the things that have been done in the past, it's a little bit difficult to remember that we're here to focus on the future, not just all of the things that are happening now. So I really appreciated your comment.
Yeah, when I look back on when we started, initially we felt like we were getting a lot done, and you look forward, you're looking at all these things that you're doing, and then at this point in time, it doesn't feel like we've gotten that much accomplished, really, but we have. Karsten has been a really wonderful superintendent in helping to guide us through cleaning up language in contracts, actually cleaning up everything in the district and making it much more a smooth running district, rather than years before it was kind of run a little bit more like a club, where if you were in, you could do whatever you wanted. And I mean that almost literally. So now it's a much better functioning operation. And so I think you guys are coming in at a difficult time, but at a really good time. So just keep looking ahead and watch out for those things that are going to try and knock you out of your place.
Thanks, Mike. Other questions? Oh, Arlen, you had your name in the queue.
Yeah, thank you. Once again, welcome to all our new board members. This orientation is awesome as a start for each and every one of you. But I encourage the three of you new board members to do what get the information you feel you need when you want it. And what I found helpful for me, and it may not be helpful for you, is when I came on the board, I made it a point to contact every existing board member that I was going to be working with, but also having a conversation with the outgoing people and getting their ideas and visions, why they voted the way they did, you probably got an idea of on the existing board members and what you think their vision is and how to go about it to a point. But I would really encourage you, if you want, I would love to speak with each one of you. If you don't, that's fine. But figure out what works for you to get acclimated to being on the board. And I will point out to you that I know I stress the open meeting law quite strongly. And until you are sworn into office, that is not really an issue. So you can talk to any board member about anything you want until you take office in January. So don't let that inhibit you at this time if any of you are concerned on that. Once again, thank you for for taking the time and caring about our school, our community. I know you all do great. Looking forward to working with you. And phone numbers are available also on the school board website, I believe, on the board members. And Carson, am I right? The incoming board members are also have their phone numbers there or contact information?
Lisa, do you happen to know the answer to that question?
I don't believe we've put the information out as of yet. I think we were waiting until they were sworn into office in January.
Okay, so I stand corrected on that, but the existing board members have phone numbers. And also, as you orientate yourself here, you do not have to give your phone number specifically into that listing there. I actually have a district issued phone number to me in there, and then I've had it enabled to ring into my phone number. So you do want to keep some privacy to yourself, and maybe not give out your personal phone numbers. That's entirely up to everybody. But and you do have a school issued email. I believe Lisa said they were at least set up. So use those tools the way you can as you come into this. It's going to be a challenge for each of you coming in. I know it was for me. And you've gotten a tip on the finances. When I came on the board back in, was it 2015, I believe it is. The very first meeting, we spent 4 months of cutting budget of a couple $1 million. And what a challenge that is. Your challenge maybe isn't going to be quite so tight on the finances this year, but how are we going to handle COVID in our school in the best and safest possible way that we can meet the needs of all our students as best we can? It is a challenge to find that balance. It's just that probably, I'm looking at that as probably the biggest issue coming into this January for you, but I might be wrong. It might be something else, but I'm sure it's important to everybody. And remember, everybody that contact you cares, and it's hard for them sometimes to realize that we care. I know I'm probably labeled the old guy on the board, and yes, I am up there, but I have 3 grandchildren in this district that I care. One's in 2nd grade, one's in 4th grade, and one's in, I believe it's 6th grade. And I care deeply about them. And probably more than what I would have if I had my own kids in school. My grandchildren are the world to me. So don't ever let anybody tell you just because somebody doesn't have kids in school, they don't belong there. There are great people everywhere that care. Thank you.
Thanks, Arlen. Questions, other questions? Jennifer.
I just had one about the 4th and what that's going to look like in terms of swearing us in and how that works.
Yeah, what I typically do with the board orientation or the first meeting in January is issue the agenda before Christmas. And so I'm actually working on it this week, and I should have it done either this week or right away next week. And then what I'd be willing to do, well, I'll share it out, and so you can always review it. And then if you want to go over things like item by item or just in general, then, please reach out to me or I'll reach out to you, and, I'll step through it item by item with you. And in terms of the actual oath of office, there's a written statement that Pam will read. Because she will be the board chair at the beginning of the January 4th meeting. And so she will have you read that oath of office either individually or together. And then, it's kind of ceremonial, because you're on the board. But that'll be the first thing. And then we'll elect the chair to lead moving forward. And then there's a long list of mostly administrative items that will go pretty quickly. The other 2 big items that come up would be the committee assignments and then the time, date, and location of regular board meetings. So those might take some discussion. That's the typical reorganization part of the meeting. With COVID, there might be some other big issues to discuss that first meeting. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. So if you have not heard from me before Christmas, please reach out to me, call me or email, and then I'll be able to work with you on that.
Anna.
So I'm not sure when the appropriate time would be to ask this question, but one thing I've been wondering about is the length of the board meetings. Because, right now I have the convenience of being able to watch it in my pajamas curled up on the couch, and, I can get up and go get dinner or whatever. But, a meeting that goes from 6 to 11 p.m. at night is so long, with so much information. And I appreciate the level of information and the presentations that are given, but I'm just wondering, is that normal? And how can we balance that out? Are there thoughts or things moving forward to make it a little bit more digestible and not quite so much, and important decisions being made at 10 o'clock at night, especially when people are trying to watch live and trying to also take care of their families and things like that. And then of course, for the board members we're going to all be trying to make good, responsible decisions after 4 hours of meeting.
Maybe I'll jump in and respond, but any of the board members, can add or say some different things too. The last few months have not been normal. So if you look back in previous years, they tend to be more focused. COVID has thrown us all for a loop. And so, we spent a lot of time this summer talking about options, exploring different possibilities and making decisions. This fall, I know my contract, was quite controversial. And so there were lengthy discussions about that. And again, we're still, exploring what to do with COVID and all the changing dynamics there. The other years, the discussions have been lengthier when there are budget reductions, like Arlen said, because we do take those decisions very seriously because they impact our kids and our staff members. So we want to make sure that we're going down the right path. But I will say, I think all board members agree that we want to try to keep our board meetings more focused. And I'm confident we'll be able to do that as the new year starts. There'll be some big issues coming up, but we'll be able to really move it in line, I think. Now, Pam has been very good, first at running the meetings, but then also making sure that all perspectives are heard. And so there's that delicate balance. We want to get things done, but at the same time, we want to make sure that everyone's voice is heard. So, but I don't think there can be anything worse than a global pandemic, and so I think we'll be able to get it back in gear.
Well, and I'm right with you, Anna. I mean, like at 10 o'clock, I turn into a pumpkin. So, so I'm not much good to anybody after 10. So, that'll be something that we'll have to dig into at the organizational meeting and beyond, because right now our meetings start at 6, but they used to start at 5:30. So we can always move around our schedule to make things work a little bit better for the new board. And we really have to just be better at juggling all of the things on an agenda. So if our agenda looks like it's going to be getting too long, then we need to push some things out to the next meeting. Sometimes we can't. So we just do the best we can. But yeah, I'm right with you on that. Too long. Arlen.
Yeah, you pretty much put it out there. It's up to the board at that time to decide when they want to meet and set parameters if they want to on the meeting. And as you alluded to, we used to start at 5:30. We did change our structure because of the number of days involved. We've made an attempt to get some of our key committee meetings done on the same day as the board meetings. So when you have some of those that maybe start at 4:45 or 3:45 in the afternoon, and then you put on a meeting afterwards, and you go till 10 o'clock or later, that's a long time. And it is very grueling. When times are good, usually we're in and out an hour and a half to 2 hours on our board meetings. I don't know when there's been very seldom we see that times are normal though, because it was the budget cuts, it was COVID, it was referendum in between there and the discussions on that, and they all take a lot of discussion, and there's a lot of passion from every board member on what to do there, and to find that balance to get that discussion out there and still not over talk it and get those votes in, I guess is up to everybody how to go about it. But it's not going to be Pam, it's not going to be me, it's not going to be Jim, it's not going to be Holly that are going to tell us what to do. It's going to be all of us that are going to decide what parameters and how to run these meetings. So just keep that in mind. You're part of it.
Yeah, it's really, it's up to the new board to decide how you want your meetings to run. For a few years, we were not getting very much information at all, and that was not good. Nowadays, we're getting a hell of a lot more information, and that is good. What's happened recently, I think, is that there's a certain lack of trust among some board members for the work of the committees and the work of our administrators and the people who do the work in the offices. And so they have a lot of questions, and they want to find out what it is that they think they're missing. And so that's taken a lot of time, I think. But you really want to get as much information from the people, from the principals and the programs that you're enacting as a board, so that you can keep on top of what's going on in the education end of the business. The superintendent's job is to run the business. Our job is to run the superintendent to make the best decisions for our students and the community. So it's, if you want to, you can really get bogged down in the day-to-day details and try and get on the ground and mess around in the weeds, but that's not where you belong. That's not where a board member belongs. They belong looking way up, looking ahead, and making sure that the superintendent is following through on what you want him to do. And I think that if you do that, the meetings will get shorter, but they go on and you keep getting information. So it's information is a good thing, but you have to remember that you're not the one who's executing the details. You're the one who's overseeing the whole program.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mike. In the spirit of not going too long, we are approaching 8 o'clock. But any other questions that are really on the tip of your tongue that you really would like to ask this evening before we sign off? Well, I'll thank Lisa again for putting together that yellow binder for you. It does have a lot of information, and it's meant for you to keep as a resource. You can write in it, you can take notes, highlight things, whatever, that's yours to keep. For existing board members, you will also, if you haven't already, you will be getting your own yellow binder. It's a good resource for all of us to have. There's also things in there about the open meeting law, which we didn't cover tonight, but there is some information in there. You have our phone numbers, and I know that we're all happy to answer any questions that you have. We'll probably sign off and you'll think, why didn't I ask that question? So go ahead and email or call. We're all willing to answer anything that you may have questions about. Mike, one final thought?
Yeah, I just want to put in another plug for the Southeast Service Co-op. It is an excellent group. They meet at 5:30, I think, on the third Wednesday of the month. They have a hullabaloo in the summertime. They always go to some resort up in northern Minnesota, and you get together with all the board members, and it's a great interaction and information exchanging with these people. The group in Rochester is, like I said, just excellent. They run a great program, and you get yet more information, and you get paid for it, best of all. They pay your mileage if you're driving down there, and you get paid, I think, maybe $60 a meeting. And also, I can't highly enough recommend the Education Weekly. I believe it's less than $100 a year, and it's the best $100 a school board member could spend right now. And I'll sign off there.
All right.
Oh, and if you're interested in the SEC, you can give me a call. My number is on the public school board's page. There's a meeting tomorrow night, so I'm going to talk to them about that then. Good luck. Have fun. Kick butt.
Thanks, Mike. And again, thanks to you and your years of service on this board. Your wit and your wisdom are going to be missed here greatly. All right. Any other questions? Well, thank you all for joining me tonight. I hope it was helpful to you and a good welcome, a good springboard to the future. So enjoy the holidays and the last couple of weeks before you have to dig in and get immersed in all things school board. So thank you and have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.